Right, hi everyone. Welcome back to another podcast episode. Now, on today's episode, Chris and I are going to chat to you about something really cool, actually. We're going to basically tell you a little bit about how to grow an online business with one simple tool. So, obviously, as you know, many people overcomplicate everything. There's so many online coaches, PTs, gym owners now that are doing 4 or 5 different things to try and make money. So, Chris and I are going to spend a little bit of time and just explain the power of this one tool.
Yeah, because the common myth out there is you need to be posting all the time, you need to be doing all these different things, when in reality you just need one really simple method that's going to take you forward. It's going to reduce your time, stress, try to create content, all that noise that you've been doing for weeks and months and getting nowhere. And that thing is our free WhatsApp group.
Yeah, and the thing with the free WhatsApp group is basically all around building trust. You know, think of all the DMs that have to get sent, the posts that have to go out to try and maybe get a couple people to say yes. Whereas if you've got something like a free WhatsApp group, you can actually start to build your tribe, build your community, and get people coming to you. And then you can, once they kind of know, like, and trust you, it's 10 times easier to get them to pay for stuff after that.
Yeah. Now, but let's chat about the difference between like how the WhatsApp group runs, right? Because people listening will probably not understand. And let's go from a time aspect of how much time it takes to build an ad essentially to get people in the WhatsApp group versus, say, making 2 or 3 pieces of content a day, editing, all that shit that goes along with it, mate. Let's kind of give them a bit of a difference so they can understand.
Yeah, so I think the first things first, obviously, if you imagine, if you do the kind of, I don't want to say the old-fashioned way, but the way that most people do it is they think about what everyone else is doing. So they think about, right, what other people are posting right now? So they're doing workout videos, they're posting recipes, they're making stuff in the kitchen, they're using their air fryer, they're doing all this random shit, right? But the problem is, it's all the same as everyone else, and everyone looks the same, sounds the same, basically are the same. And that's why it's so much more difficult to stand out. So if you're doing it that way, realistically, you've probably got no chance of finding the people you want to help. The only way to make it work, if you're going to go down that route without ads, is by being laser focused on one specific type of person. So for example, if you really, really wanted to help, you know, say, again, we speak about Julia a lot and other people in the mentorship who, you know, have helped people throughout the menopause who are maybe in their 40s or 50s, and maybe what worked for them 10 plus years ago isn't working anymore. They're gaining weight that maybe they've not struggled with in the past. Energy's been low. They make content super specific to that demographic. You know, they relate to them, they post to them, and it works, right? So that is probably the only way to stand out. Now, it takes a lot more time doing it that way. Now, where Julia and these other people have seen a lot more success and where they've actually gained a lot of followers and able to grow their group is when you combine good quality specific content with ads, and it almost amplifies it. So it's almost like a little test. If you've put a piece of content out that's actually got quite a lot of interest from it, you know, you've got some followers, you've got some comments of people like, oh my God, that's so relatable, or this is me right now. That's always a good sign to test that as an ad.
Yeah, because the algorithm is obviously organically is going to pick that up. So if people start actually watching it, because we know how the algorithm works. Somebody stays in your video long enough, Instagram pick up on that, they push the ad out further. So if organically, say somebody like Julia or Callum or whatever who like to create content, do that and it pushes out far, that's a good sign that you could then put some money behind it and actually attract the right audience in who are specific to what you need.
Yeah, so if you look at Julia as an example and other people who are doing this really well, it actually allows them to get a whole load of new strangers getting interested in their content and what they're actually putting out there. So I think that's the kind of perfect mix, is finding the right balance of content, testing it on a platform, you know, sticking to one platform like Instagram, for example, and being really consistent and not worrying too much about doing a LinkedIn or this or that and, you know, overcomplicating it. Get really focused on what works, where your market is, where your demographic hangs out. And then, like I say, start testing ads. And if you look at the ads we've ran, you know, if you look at our demographic being online coaches, PTs, people who want to grow their business online without necessarily having to spend all day making content or sending pushy DMs, we've basically created some ads that were super basic, that were all around saying, look, we want to give you value first. We want to build your trust first, because you probably don't know who we are. And then once you see that we care and, you know, we're good at what we do, you're probably going to say, hey guys, how does this elite mentorship work? You know, how do these ads work? I'd love to learn more. And that's kind of how it starts. And then it becomes a much more organic way to build conversation and sell, instead of the usual, hey, how's business? How are you getting on? Have you seen this? Oh, it's back at the, I'm just pushing this to the back of your DM so you can see it again. That's just the opposite of what we want to do. And I think people are starting to catch on to that being just a much more salesy, sleazy way of trying to grow a business.
Yeah, and the other way to do that, if you just want to avoid making loads of content, is literally run the simple ad process. Now, the way that would look, if you've not done it before, this is a simple way to think about it. You build something like an image or a video that's basically talking to you, it's directly to your audience who you want to join your WhatsApp group. And then that goes, you pay for it to go out to a certain amount of people. Now, the ad platform itself, you can look at interests, you can look at gender, age, location. So you can really pinpoint the person who you're looking to bring into your free WhatsApp group to eventually make a client by just using the ad system alone. Now, we see this, obviously, this is exactly what we do for ourselves and for our clients. Like, one ad alone could get you like 100, 200 people in your WhatsApp group. Like that one ad, if you leave it running for like 4 or 5 weeks, you could have 200 leads in your WhatsApp group straight away who you could start working with. You almost micro-coaching them. You're not being a full coach at that point, but you're giving them things that they need, things of value, things they can go and work on and go, if this is the free stuff, what would the paid stuff look like? So that's the other way to do it. You've got the two options. You've got the organic, or you've got free really. You've got the organic alone, organic with ads, or just ads, but you still make a tiny wee bit organic just to keep your page relevant. Those are the two /3 main ways to do it.
Yeah.
Let's chat about when they're in the WhatsApp group then, Josh. What can we tell the audience that they could, if they wanted to start a WhatsApp group right now and they're thinking, well, how would I run it? How would that look on a day-to-day or a week-to-week basis?
Yeah, well, the first thing that a lot of people are probably thinking about listening to this is why WhatsApp? A lot of people are like, I've used Facebook groups before, they just die, people aren't engaging. School's very popular these days as well. Why do we keep talking about WhatsApp? Why do we keep talking about WhatsApp? So the first thing I would say to that is everybody uses it. Most people are on WhatsApp. They've got group chats with their friends, they're communicating all the time, and it's direct. It's direct communication back and forth. You don't need to go into an external app to then find a notification, to then click into something and scroll to find comments. It's all there. And you're not blocked by any algorithm. It's not like you're trying to do this on Instagram and putting out content there that might get seen by new people. Whatever Chris and I put in our group gets seen, listened to, watched 50, 60, 70% of the time in terms of the amount of people in there. So there's nothing else that you can really do that's going to get all the people's eyes on it, like in a WhatsApp group. So first of all, that's why we're so big in the WhatsApp group. It's free. It's very easy if you use WhatsApp Business to create labels and structure it. Now, if you're thinking about content of what to put in it, the simplest way I can explain that to you is instead of trying to come up with ideas yourself, the best way to find what to put in there is ask questions. So Chris and I, when we first started our WhatsApp group, we were having gym owners, online coaches, PTs, loads of people coming in there. And we were always debating, should we put podcasts? Should we do Q&As? Should we send them PDFs, training videos? Over time, we started to realize, why don't we just put some poll questions up and see what people want? And then once people started to give us the answers, we just started creating stuff for it. So, hey guys, happy Monday. Hope you're all having a great week. Let us know. We're thinking of doing a podcast this week. Here's a couple topics we've got in mind based on current situation. What one would suit you best? What would you get the most value from right now? One of them gets 80% of the votes. That's the one we create. So it's very easy to do that. Now, obviously, it takes time to get to a place where people start voting. Your first 20, 30, 40, 50 people in there might just be sussing it out. So they might not engage yet, but you've got to encourage it. And I think that once you kind of find that right rhythm, on a Monday, you could do a podcast. On a Wednesday, you could do a Q&A. On a Friday, you could maybe get everyone to share pictures of their pets, just something random that fucking engages. And then you can start to really then drop it in of like, go from there. Because a really, really simple psychology thing for people is like, if you want to get engagement for the paid stuff or when you want them to engage, get them engaging in just random shit first. So Chris and I, when we used to run the gym business, if we were ever going to be doing like a proper launch or call to action on stories or something, we'd always ask random questions first. So we'd ask like, what's your favorite chocolate bar? This or that. Then it started getting votes. And it gets people used to voting so that when you actually want people to vote on something serious, they're already in the habit of it. So that's just a couple little tips to look at. But like I say, we love running the WhatsApp group. And I think that if you've not already started one, it's free. name it, start inviting people in your contacts, start going through old clients, say, hey, Sarah, how are you getting on? It's been a long time since we trained together. Just wanted to let you know about this cool WhatsApp group we've created for women 40 plus who are struggling with XYZ. I know this is an issue you struggled with in the past when we worked together. Would you be interested in joining? It's completely free. Maybe you got some friends who are also gaining a little bit of weight, maybe struggling a little bit through the menopause. We'd love to have you in there. What do you think? Such an easy way to re-engage. And we've seen that specific thing happening where the client then goes, oh, I'm so glad you reached out. I was speaking to someone about you the other day, how I needed to get back into training. I just didn't think you'd want me back. And then, just because they left, So there's so many different ways to go about it. I know I've rambled on a bit there, but I just wanted to set the scene for everyone of why it's so important to really look into this and not just think of it as just another thing.
I think there'll be some people listening to this who've got that mentality maybe 3-4 years ago where paid free stuff doesn't get valued. But let me just tell you this now, the industry's changed in the last 4 years. It's called a trust recession right now in our industry alone, where there's so many mentors now and there's so many mentors teaching PTs to DM thousands of people every week. So if you look at, there's probably like 10,000 people PTs in the UK. There's probably at least half of them getting mentored, and most of them are getting told to DM a certain amount of people every day, just cold. So if you imagine there's just like fucking millions of people getting DMs for random coaches every day, there's a trust recession. So that's why the free stuff is working really well right now. It gives you a chance to bring people in without any barriers, and then you build the trust with them. You show them you're a good coach. That's literally how we built our business to where it is now. Like that whole process of people kept saying to us, why are you giving stuff away for free? It won't be valued. And I say, well, we've had coaches that's paid us $6,000 for the year and never done the work. The person who, you've got two type of people who might come into the group, somebody who thinks they're ready to take their business forward and somebody who's actually ready to take their business forward. And it's the same with paid. They've got a fantasy that they want to make their business grow, but then they don't do the work. So the person that comes in free, if their intentions are, I want to grow my business, they're going to gather every bit of information we give them and use it, and then make the judgment of these guys are good, and then go and take the next step. Yeah. So it's not that free is not valued. It's the person who's coming on board, if they want to grow their business and they don't quite trust you yet, they're going to take it, use what you've gave them, and then go, do you know what? These guys are actually good. Like, how many times have you heard people saying, loads. Like, I've honestly been on free calls with people, like loads of times, 15 minutes, just free advice, and they've actually turned around, they said these exact words, no word they'll lie. That 15-minute call is more value than I got paying somebody $6,000 for the year. My last mentorship. I've heard that so many times. Yeah. For free. They're the easiest people to sign up. Yeah. You've already given them so much trust, and I don't even try and sign them up on that call. Yeah. I leave them with actionable steps to go and take away with, and then eventually we catch up, and then they go, do you know what? It's time. Yeah. And that can work. That works. We see it working week on week with our guys. Yeah, and it's just as consistent as that. It's almost like a really good way to frame it is when people pay with their time first, they'll pay with their money later. So if people are buying into you and what you're giving them and the value you're providing, they're going to be interested in the paid stuff. And another really good story for you guys as well to kind of see the value of this is if I talk about Maria. So Maria joined our business coaching, right, 3 months ago. And she basically was in a position where she wants to help other people who are going through IVF to help them lose the weight, get their BMI down, and basically boost their chances of getting pregnant, essentially, right? So if you look at that as a niche, it's very specific, right? So Maria went through this herself. She had a baby, and and she's helped a lot of people go through that situation as well. The difficulty she had before joining us was the trust aspect. It's obviously quite a sensitive subject in the sense, you need people to trust you in order to go through that with them and help them navigate, the fat loss side of it, etc. She basically came to us and we said, look, this is great niche. This is perfect. A free WhatsApp group is going to be perfect for this because we're going to be able to bring people in, build trust with them, give them some tips and advice, and then upsell them. Now, she prices herself at around £900 for a program. Now, if you look at how much it costs people to go through IVF, it's something like 10 grand, right? So it's such an easy way to frame that. It's almost like, look, I can't guarantee you're going to get pregnant through these advice and helping you lose the weight and stuff. But what I can do is it's going to be a much more enjoyable journey, and we're going to definitely be able to, slightly increase the chances if you do this properly.
So instead of going through this again and having to pay another 10 grand, why don't you pay me £900 and we'll massively help your chance and help you navigate through it with someone that really cares. So she brings these people into the WhatsApp group. She put polls in, she gives great advice. She's been running different webinars and stuff. She's been really, really helping these people for free. No ties. And then as soon as she does a little launch, instantly someone's like, I'll pay £900 for that.
Yep.
I'll pay £900 for that. And that just goes to show that if you've got, again, you need to have all these things lined up. You can't just say, I'm going to create a WhatsApp group and help anyone lose weight. It's like, if you've got a clear niche, you can relate to them, you understand their pain points, you understand what they're going through, you understand what they need, most importantly, and you provide them that, you can make a lot of money and get a lot of success stories.
Yeah.
It really is that simple.
Yeah. And here's the question that you ask yourself now. How long have you spent on Instagram in the last year, creating content every day, having to plan the content, film the content, edit the content, and not got where you thought you would be by now? In a year's, look back at, you can do this yourself. Look back, how long you've been doing that? How quickly have you moved forward? And then think to yourself, imagine you had a WhatsApp group where you bring people away from social media and they're now in your WhatsApp group, which is way more controlled. There's not like 10 million, well, probably more than that, there's 1 billion people on Instagram. They're in your WhatsApp group now. When you put stuff in there, they're going to see it. Like it's just it's a much smoother process for you, a much quicker and more effective process for you to get value to people, especially if you run the ad system as well, because it saves so much time. You can still create content. If you love that, we say to our guys, you love creating content, do it. Just don't do as much. You don't need it. You won't need to make 2, 3, 4 pieces of content a day if you're running a very good ad, because it'll do most of the work for you.
Yeah. Guys, if you've enjoyed this podcast, we're actually going to do a follow-up. So if you're interested in this and you're thinking, look, the free group sounds great, all of this sounds great, but I'd love step-by-step systems on how to actually go about doing this, stick around, because the next podcast, we're going to do exactly that. So if you've enjoyed it, give it a like, follow us, make sure you don't miss out on any future ones, and definitely check out the next one, because we're going to go into we're going to tell you about CRMs, which you probably have no idea about. We're going to go to the systems. We're going to explain exactly what's needed to make this work in motion. So
See you in the next one.
See you in the next one.